Hey guys, Mother Beverly here. So, I wanted to start this channel off with trying to explain a little bit of my background with racism. So, I grew up in Nova Scotia, which is, if you don't know, is on the east coast of Canada. And it's a little bit of a weird history here. Let's just say there's been a lot of heroes like Viola Desmond, Henderson Paris, Dr. Carrie Bess. I could continue listing them. But there's still a lot of problems. And I'm not the only one who sees this because I've heard a lot. But let me focus on myself right now. When I learned race was a thing, I was about 4 or 5 years old. I didn't know race was a thing until then because everybody in my family was a different skin color. I thought that was just natural. Like babies just came out random colors. It wasn't until I seen a movie on television that showed the KKK hunting down a little black boy who was friends with a little white boy. And it scared the crap out of me. So I went to my mother and I asked her who these people were and if they were going to come for my grandmother because my grandmother was the darkest person I knew. So my mom had to explain to me about race and had to explain to me that I'm not just white. So going into this world, I pretty much came out with a starter of you are not white. You will never be white. Your mother is not white. You might look white. Some people might treat you like you're white. But to deny that you are mixed race is to deny your mother, to deny your grandmother, to deny your whole family. Every minority person who ever took the time to get their children a little bit further so that I could be born, so that I could have the things that I have. So that was at the beginning. I've had to switch schools a couple of times because of bullying. I am not going to completely dismiss that there is a chance that it had to deal with the fact that my mom was visibly not white, and she also fit outside of typical norms expected for women. Like my mother is 6'1". My mom's a big woman, bigger than my father. And there's nothing wrong with that, except other people aren't familiar with it, and so they would think it was alright to say comments to me. As if my mother was somehow less than a person just because she didn't grow the way they expected a woman to grow. So that's kind of like a little bit of early years. First time I flat out experienced racism, I was in about grade 7 or 8, and it was a kid in my class who told me that I was a freak of nature. That my mother and father didn't belong together because my father was white. But up until that point, it wasn't like there was stuff that didn't happen. It was just that I was too young that it wasn't happening in front of my face. The day I was born, my white grandmother, my paternal grandmother, showed up to the hospital to make sure my skin was light enough that she could claim me as her granddaughter. And this is a few months after she tried to skip out on my parents' wedding because she wanted to show my father that she forbid his marriage to my mother. This is after years of hearing from my mother about her experiences, about trying to go to Virginia Beach to visit her friends, but having to be mindful of where in the city she went because in certain spots she could be killed for being a light-skinned person, not like white, but I mean like a light-skinned minority. And in other parts of the city, her friends could be killed for being dark-skinned minorities. Or when my mom and uncle and all my like aunts, they all went to Las Vegas. My mom got pulled for random search at every single airport, even though one of the guys was wearing steel-toe boots and could go right through. No one stopped him. Now, you might call bullshit on me, but I don't think my mom really had the time to come up with the story to tell her kids in the privacy of our home. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot of energy. People expect you to prove yourself if you're going to say stuff like this. We don't have the time. We are constantly living with stuff like this that we have to cherry pick what we're going to deal with. Cherry pick, cherry pick, cherry pick. So, where I stand right now in the last few years, I've had to break up with 2 white boyfriends in a row, not because of the boyfriends, but because of their family. The first of which was a guy that I had dated for a year. I had known him since high school. But his family kept making comments about my native and black ancestry, accusing me of being a mooch for being part native, and accusing me of being a liar for being part black. Now, he thought it was hunky-dory, that I should just get over it because at least they didn't, like, do anything drastic, you know? Stuff like this, these little comments, they add up. You don't know how many times I've heard it. That's why they're called microaggressions. It's so teeny, teeny, tiny that most people think you need to get over it. But when it happens over and over and over and over and over again, like, it builds up. It's almost like when you're at home and your mom just keeps nagging you about your marks, or something to you that is little. It might not even be necessarily your marks. It could be, like, insert anything in your head. It could be when your girlfriend or boyfriend complains that you're not cleaning up around the house enough, even though you think you are, or, you know, anything that might be a little thing that by itself you could dismiss. But when it starts happening over and over and over and over and over again, one day you just snap. Because it's like, it's been 100 times that you've had to face this in the last year. So you look crazy. Maybe it doesn't happen that occurrent, but like, every single time it chips away. It chips your patience every single time. Which is why it's a microaggression. Now, with my last boyfriend, he and I had been together for 3 years, and we decided to go to, his father was having a family reunion and invited people from British Columbia to Newfoundland. You know, like, people were traveling all over this. And I had an issue with someone violating my privacy when it came to my body in the bathroom. So I'll get in more into that maybe eventually, but not exactly for this conversation because I'm trying to keep the focus on racism. And I tried to confront some people about it. I understood that I needed to take certain social, political reins. Like, you can't just, like, go talk to this person. Like, you kind of need to talk to this other person. It's stuff that we become conscious of after so many years. Like, you can't just take the blunt road sometimes. Sometimes you have to cherry pick who you're going to talk to. You have to cherry pick what you're going to say. Just to sum it up, let's just say I wasn't having a good night. I have post-traumatic stress disorder. And the event that happened was triggering my post-traumatic stress disorder. Now, my boyfriend's sister decided to come over to me and tell me that I was being an overdramatic bitch, even though she understood the history there of my PTSD, and their father has PTSD and bipolar disorder, so she should have been sympathetic to a mental health condition by now. She's older than me, she's older than my boyfriend, she has 2 children, and one of the children were there when she turned to me and said, "You know what, I'll fucking kill you, you out of control nigger." It's been over, like, almost a year now, because it happened at the end of July. Today is the end of June. We're almost there. Still no apologies. Not from anyone who that night stood in my face and told me that I should have let it go. She threatened to kill me and called a racial slur that has been used against my people forever. Well, obviously that's a little bit of a hyperbole, but you know what I mean. And I'm expected to just get over it with no apology from no person, and I'm supposed to be over it because she's over it? You do not get to go and hurt someone and then decide when that person gets to get over it. You know what I mean? Like, you don't get to go out there and slap someone and then go, well, it's all in the past now, like, let's just move on. Like, no. The aggressor does not get to decide when someone gets over something. The victim, and this time I'm a victim, but, like, you can also use survivor, warrior, whatever word you prefer. Because realistically, this is an aspect of your identity, and you get to choose how your identity is built. You should. That should be a social right. That is something that I'm arguing for. So, I don't care if she wants to talk about how great a singer I am, or if she wants to say I'm a nice person, or that she's proud of my academics. I don't care. Because at the end of the day, she still used that word against me, knowing fully well the history there. Knowing fully well her 7-year-old was watching. And then her father wants to come over to me talking about, oh, there's children here? Well, guess what? Not one of those kids is mine. Why should I be the one who has to sit here and be conscious of children, be conscious of everything, when the mother of a child is not caring? When she is threatening my life, and at this point, it is a fight or flight response. It is fighting for my fucking life. In my eyes, I'm standing in a group, in an area that I know has a racist history. I've been warned even before the party started that there will be racists attending by this father. And then nobody wants to be on my side when somebody threatens my life and calls me a racial slur. Now, this is not even getting into all the times that I've gone, like, walk into a store with my father, who's very clearly white with bright blue eyes, and nothing happens. But then I get a text from my mom, and she's like, oh, you know what, like, I want to come in the store. My mom's physically disabled. I go back to the car to go help her. And then all of these cars that were perfectly fine with my father and I walking by are locking their doors as we walk by. You know what I mean? Like, I have a unique perspective on this. I'm mixed race. But hopefully I'll get more into depth with this in future videos. It's just, this takes a lot out of me, and I need a little bit of a moment. So, anyways, I'm Mother Beverly. If you need to keep up with me, I have this YouTube channel that I'm starting, a Facebook channel, like Twitter, Tumblr, all under the name Mother Beverly. So check it out. If you have questions, I don't mind answering it. Just don't be rude. Like, I have 99 problems and you ain't gonna be one. Let's be real. That's why you're getting blocked by people like Kat Black or Francesca Ramsey or all of them. When you live in a system of discrimination, you have enough problems. You know what I mean? Anyways, Mother Beverly out.